休息过后，欢迎大家回到明目张胆。上一节我们提到，在今年选举当中，民主党的总统候选人跟共和党总统候选人，或者是两党在国会的候选人，都会讲到台湾的话题。那么，到底哪个政党的政策更能够保护台湾？请教一下Michelle。川普总统说，他如果当选的话，中国就不会要进攻台湾，他能够摆平像习近平、像普京、像金正恩这些独裁者。而拜登呢，却多次讲过，他要直接派兵保护台湾。这在台裔的美国人当中会产生了一个大家的疑问，就是到底哪一个政党更加有效？我说的是有效的保护台湾，您怎么看？
You know what? Bottom line is Trump is the better choice, and both sides been always like it's not like a Democrat versus Republicans. Most of people, most of members of Congress actually support Taiwan, but Biden administration, you already saw that, how many war broke out. China's watching it very closely, and China's ready to do it. China already announced that Taiwan is going to be their guinea pig because their generals are all younger generations. They never went through war. So you know what? They want to try out Taiwan, and they want to try to feel that how strong their military is. So under Trump, for 4 years, none of the war broke out. And under Biden, already 2, and China became very aggressive. So I think Trump is the best candidate, and he is going to be our president.
我们看到现在正在举行金砖国家峰会，在俄罗斯。那么在这个峰会上，我们明显看到俄罗斯、中国、伊朗、北韩这些国家，他们结合得更加紧密。那么我相信在明年大选结束之后，新一届的美国政府，包括新一届的美国国会，都会面临一个不一样的国际局势。那么，如果Michelle你当选的话，你觉得明年在新的国会里边，你们所面临的更加大的挑战，或者应对有关整个国际局势当中，你觉得首要的会出现什么问题？
You know what? Right now, that it's just not Brazil, Russia, China, but in India. But they actually asked that South Africa to join them. So they tried to make their allies bigger. India's case that they're playing double games right now. That India try to get closer to China and Russia, but at the same time they have to work with United States. And since Modi came in, it was much closer to United States, but still joining for that summit. And I'm very bothered by that. And then South Africa just right now that a couple of days ago announced that asked Taiwan to move their embassy to outside of the capital. They're going to still keep the embassy, but outside of the capital. That's not really heard of. And you know what? Means that South Africa is kind of like a turning too. So what we have to have is that we have to rebuild the relationship with India. India used to be our ally, still our ally, but working both sides. And South Africa can be our ally and still playing both sides. When we come back after the election, we really have to strongly build our allies, and we have to work together. Right now, that China is actually pouring money into South Africa and other countries too, and that's the way they try to influence it. So we really have to work together, not pouring money, but you know what? We have to build a stronger relationship with our allies. I think that's going to prevent that China and Russia become very aggressive. But when Trump becomes president, I think, you know what? This is going to be all been held, and they have to be really careful next move what they're going to do. But at the same time, Congress is going to move very quickly. That we already condemned China for how many bills that we passed before the recess. But you know what? We know that how China is very, very, very aggressive. So we try to stop China.
Michelle，你刚刚讲到了美国应该团结更多的盟友来在国际上影响力。当然，我们不能忽略美国跟台湾之间的经贸来往。刚才其实你也提到了有关避免台湾和美国双重课税的问题。那么，如果这个避免双重课税的问题在下一届国会能够把它立法的形式解决的话，你相信台美两地的经贸来往会有一个新的大的发展吗？
Yes, we already did the tax package last year, and we sent that to Senate. And you know what? When you have different parties and Congress and Senate, we all don't agree. Seems like Schumer is now really never bring it back. But they brought it on their Senate floor. It failed. But it's really interesting because this bill, the tax package, was both sides. It's Republican Jason Smith from Ways and Means Committee, and then Finance Committee on Senate side, Senator Wyman. So we built together to stop double taxation on Taiwanese, and you know what? It failed. So most likely we're going to take over Senate too. Then we're going to bring it back and make sure that it's going to work. And then, of course, free trade agreement between Taiwan and United States. That's going to be really helpful because I know we have a lot of Taiwanese, big Taiwanese community. But at the same time, Taiwan's been really investing a lot of money for those chip industries. We really have to work together, make sure that they get benefit. We're going to get benefit out of that too.
好，我们生活在美国的选民固然会关心台湾问题，关心应对中国竞争问题，但是大家生活最根本的，当然还是在美国的经济问题，通货膨胀。看看我们加州的加油站的油价，我们每天都面对这个高油价。但是除了高油价之外，我想加州人感受最深的，除了物价的上升，然后就是治安的恶化。有关这方面，Michelle怎么看
？Really interesting because when you see the presidential debates that Kamala Harris was attacking Trump, that you gave us this high inflation. But when Trump administration transferred to Kamala Biden/Kamala Harris administration, inflation rate was 1.4%. Inflation rate is, when it's a higher inflation, it's going to hurt actually not just middle class, but low income families hurt the most because this is kind of like hidden taxes. So I know that Trump's side is doing much better, that we really have to work on the inflation. So I know what he's gonna do. That's why he lowered the taxes. It's not just for big corporations, corporate taxes, but for small business owners for 199A, you can actually go through and transfer like 20% of tax deductions, going through your corporation, your small businesses, and for your income taxes. And then for low-income families, their standard deduction is doubled it. So you know what? You need Trump to make sure that lower inflation rate, and then gas prices, it's a little different because California, our gas tax is much, much higher. So California, Governor Newsom is doing exactly what Biden's administration's been doing. So you know what? We really have to get rid of the Newsom, and then we have to get the better leadership in California. I think that's gonna really fix everything in California. So California is a little different than nationwide, but I think you know what? When at least federal tax side is lowering it, that's going to make our lives much better.
我们在加州很多选民总是说加州民主党一党独大，那我们也知道美国的政治决定了联邦有联邦的权利，州有州的权利。现在很多选民的心态就是，当我们在选举当中投票，我们可能选总统，可能选国会议员，但是我们不能够改变加州现在我们面临的这种不合理的政策，特别是治安方面一些荒唐的政策，在这点上。Michelle 有什么要跟我们选民讲的吗？
Actually, I introduced a couple of bills that all law enforcement offices that they're going to work together. It's not just like a local that all they're working separately for cities, counties, but we have to put it together with federal law enforcement, state, and they can actually exchange their own information. So we don't have to worry about that one criminal is moving from one state to another. So that bill was actually right out there, introduced it. We want to make sure that, we should stop bringing all these illegal aliens. I'm a first generation Korean American. I was born in Korea, raised in Japan. And then, you know what? A lot of Taiwanese Americans that they are first generations in my district, 41% are first generations, and they all know that we have to vet these people crossing the border illegally. We all came here legally, so we have to vet them. We have to bring only people who love this country like us. This country is the greatest country in the whole world, and we have to enjoy this freedom. So we have to bring the right people, and then we have to stop China for precursor fentanyl coming through our ports, LA and Long Beach. And I think that basic stuff is gonna stop a lot of crimes. But other regulations like zero bail, and you cannot pay for the bail after you commit the crime, how are you gonna just release them without paying bail? So you know what, we really have to change our administration at the state level, and then we just support our law enforcement and working together. I think that's going to make the differences.
非法移民问题是大家非常关心的问题，而加州当然是个非法移民存在的一个大州。议员觉得，以加州现在的政策，我们没有办法在加州很好的管理或者阻止非法移民。未来在国会，如果是共和党全面执政，包括川普能够在大选中胜选的话，在川普的任内，会给大家信心。非法移民问题得到相应的解决，最起码不会继续恶化下去。这一点，议员怎么看？
You know what? He already built the walls. He started, and then when you go down to San Diego border, and you see it that it was just only halfway built. And that's exactly what Trump is going to do. And we don't even have any materials in California to build the rest of the fences for the border, because Texas bought all of our materials and they built it by themselves, by the state. Our state has to do better, but at the same time, Trump is going to keep doing the same thing, because we open to legal immigrants that whoever wants to come in. There are about 4 million people waiting outside coming in legally. These people just crossing the border, they are not coming in legally, and we really have to stop it, and we have to vet them. But at the same time, you saw a lot of Chinese single males are coming through San Diego borders, that something's telling. So you know what, we really have to investigate these people, except right now Biden administration just released them, and they give airplane tickets, they give allowances, they give cell phones, and that's all taxpayers' money. A lot of people suffering right now under inflation and gas prices. Why we have to give these illegal aliens and come release them inside of the United States? And you saw a lot of crimes actually happening by them. So we really have to stop that. That's what I think Trump is going to do.
好了，选民另外关心的问题就是，川普现在在竞选过程当中做了很多减税的承诺，比如说减公司税，甚至说消防员、警察的薪资可以免税，当然小费免税、加班费免税。我的了解，这是很多选民都非常非常乐见的政策。那想请教Michelle，如果在下一个议会共和党能够占多数的话，你能够期待这些减税法案能够顺利通过，给每一个民众带来一些非常具体的好处。
You know what? Right now, in the projection of the election, we're gonna add more of Republican Congress members, especially California. We're working really hard, and they're targeting 5 seats out of 12. Out of total 52 members, only 12 are Republicans, but they're targeting 5 members. But we might adding 2 more in California only. So we were kind of like projecting we're going to get 10 more total, actually adding. And then plus U.S. Senate, we're going to get at least a couple more right now. And then Trump. Then you know what, I think it's going to be done at that point. It's going to be much easier to work with everybody, and we can actually pass the laws. And we couldn't pass the law because when you introduced the border security bill for 2 times in Congress, Senate didn't even introduce it, so they just blocked it. So everything that in one party rule is not always good, but sometimes you try to pass the good laws, it's going to be good. So when we win, it's going to be a much better country.
请教一下米笑，在下个任期如果你胜选了，选民服务方面你有什么特别的想法吗？
You know what? I've been working with the community all the times, and we have so many different communities, and we are the most diverse community ever. So I go out to every communities, and we have our own advisory board. And then you know what? They're the one telling me exactly what we need. Like Taiwanese community, very much worried about taxes. Vietnamese community, human rights violations happening in Vietnam. So we've been working really together. So I know those issues, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna work together with each different communities, with each different issues, and we try to solve it the next 2 years. So thank you very much for having me today.
好，今天非常感谢国会议员米笑来跟我们介绍了他的选情以及未来的政策期许。我们有关选举的话题，我想这一集是最后一集了。那么选举的结果很快就会揭晓了。至于明年美国政治怎么走，我们跟大家一起来观察。今天非常谢谢米笑，
谢谢。
批判事实，解读新闻，我是张修杰。下个礼拜同样时间我们再见。